All right, so now we're going to go over the description of the god from Ugarit and Amurru, called Milku. Milku. So, Milku was a god associated with the underworld who was worshipped in the kingdoms of Ugarit and Amurru in the late Bronze Age. So it is possible that he originated further south, as Ugaritic texts indicate he was worshipped in cities located in the northern part of the Transjordan region. He was also incorporated into the Hurrian pantheon under the name Milkuni. There is also evidence that he was worshipped in Hittite religion. It is possible that a closely related deity is also known from Mesopotamia. Interesting. In the alphabetic script used in Ugarit, which does not always preserve vowels, Milku's name was written the same as the word Malku, which means king. As a result, it is sometimes difficult to tell which of these two cognate words is meant. However, it is agreed that they were vocalized differently. Interesting. There too. It has been proposed that one of Milku's epithets was a pun referencing this writing convention. Now, does it still mean the king, though? Okay. The name of an underworld deity written as MLK in the Ugaritic alphabetic script is typically vocalized as Milku. Let's see here. Manfred Krebernick argues that the vocalization remains uncertain due to the large number of cognates in various Semitic languages, such as Akkadian and Hebrew, which can be used for comparative purposes. However, he considers Milku to be a plausible option based on the syllabic spelling of a Hurrian form of this deity, Milkuni. Oh, I see, yeah. It is agreed that the name Milku was a cognate of the Ugaritic word Malku, meaning king. Since the words are not identical, Krebernick suggests that the god originated outside of the city, though also in an area where another Northwest Semitic language was spoken. He notes that the use of a word referring to a king to an underworld deity has a parallel in the etymology of the name of the Mesopotamian god Nergal, the lord of the great city. Yeah, that's okay. Interesting. A little connection there. Based on the etymology of Milku's name, Dennis Pardee goes as far as suggesting that in Ugarit, he might have functioned as the divine king of the underworld. However, multiple other deities worshipped in this city were also associated with the underworld in addition to him, including like Resheph, Arse, and Alani. The Hurrian god Nupatik also appears in a single text in the role of a psychopomp. I always found that interesting too. That's like a psychopomp is kind of like a divine escort for deceased souls, to leading them from the earth to the afterlife. A further deity possibly associated with the underworld, also attested in Ugarit, was the goddess Shuala. That is a Hurrian goddess. Less certain are the associations between Dagon and Horon in this sphere. Now, Mot, which means death, was also associated with the underworld, but was not actively worshipped as a deity, as evidenced by his absence from offering lists. Yes. Milku was referred to as the eternal king. So Malku Alami, the eternal king. Okay. Pardee argues that this epithet might refer to the concept of atemporality in the afterlife. It is additionally possible it was understood as a pun on Milku's name as the word Malku, or king. There is no indication that epithets including the later word the latter word necessarily implied a deity was understood as a high-ranking member of the pantheon. Milku was also called the powerful and august god. The term Gitaru most likely functioned as the name of an independent deity in other contexts, but it is unlikely that the god Gitaru is meant in this passage. I mean, you never know, though. I mean, the view that Yakaru, UQR, could instead be interpreted as the name of a king, Yakaru, is implausible according to Pardee. Ramuni also considers it impossible that a proper name rather than an epithet is meant. Milku could also be called a hero. Okay. Like what do they call that? Rapiu? A Rapiu hero in Ugaritic. It is possible that Milku was sometimes described as a musician, presumably to indicate that at least the afterlife of kings described in a text presumed to allude to such an activity was considered joyful. Unambiguous evidence for the worship of Milku as a distinct deity is present in Ugaritic texts. He is one of the deities invoked in 2 incantations against snakebite, in which the sun goddess, Shapash, is asked to summon various deities from their cult centers. The location associated with him in these texts is Atartu. This place name is apparently identical with the name of the deity Ashtartu. It is assumed that it was located somewhere northwest of the Sea of Galilee in the Transjordan area. The Ugaritic texts invoking Milku from this city appear to reflect a cosmopolitan tradition, as multiple other deities are also invoked from locations outside the kingdom, such as Tutul and Mari in Upper Mesopotamia, Laru-Gatu in central Syria, Bibita in Anatolia, and Kaftor corresponding to Crete. An echo of this association between Milku and the city of Atartu might be the deity called Milka Ashtart, or Milk Ashtart, who is attested in Phoenician and Punic sources. So a later deity by that name. Definitely seems like that's probably a later version of the god Milku. Just it means Milku of Ashtart. I think that's very plausible. A second city associated with Milku in Ugaritic texts is Hidrayu. Okay, it has been suggested that Atartu and Hidrayu correspond to the place names Ashtaroth and Edrei, modern Dara, associated with the biblical king Og of Bashan. Oh, huh. Okay. In older literature, Hadrayu was sometimes incorrectly understood as the name of a deity, but this interpretation is now considered grammatically impossible. An administrative text from Ugarit mentions the preparation of barley for the horses of Milku and Resheph. It is possible these two gods appear together in it because of their shared association with the underworld. While it is agreed that Milku appears in some theophoric names from Ugarit, it is sometimes difficult to tell when MLK designates the deity rather than the ordinary word king. All right. See, where was I here? 6 examples of theophoric names invoking Milku have been identified, while the word meant is in further 17 MLK names remains uncertain. For example, it has been suggested that the name of the well-attested scribe Ili Milku meant Milku is my god. But then some other scholars assume that it is more likely that the ordinary word king is meant in this case, and the name should be translated as El is king. Oh, yeah, well, I don't know. It could go either. It could be either one. Milku was also worshipped in the kingdom of Amurru, where he most likely was one of their main deities. However, very little is known about the religious life of this area due to lack of any texts directly pertaining to it. Milku appears in a treaty of the local king Dupi Teshep with the Hittite Empire. He also most likely appears as the theophoric element in the name of Queen Ahat Milku, a member of Amurru's ruling house, who married Nikmepa, a king of Ugarit. Okay. Let's see here. Milku was also incorporated into Hurrian and Hittite religious beliefs. A god named Milkuni occurs as a trilingual god in a trilingual god list from Ugarit in the Hurrian column. He corresponds to the Ugaritic Gataru and Mesopotamian god Tishpak in it. Huh. His name is a combination of Milku and the Hurrian suffix nni. So, uni. There's his connection to the god Gataru again, too. And Tishpak, that's interesting, too, though. Let's see. Okay. Among the Hittite settlements where Milku was worshipped were Pahanta, Parmashapa, Sapita, Salunatasi, Gulanta, and Sapagurwanta. Additionally, he is also attested in texts from Syrian Emar, where, according to Gary Beckman, he is exclusively present in rituals of Anatolian origin. Wow. Most likely irrelevant to the religious life of the indigenous population. Well, huh. In an offering list from the Ur-3 period, now Ur-3 would be 22nd and 21st centuries BC, a deity named Malkum is attested alongside the goddess Habaritum. Now, Habaritum is the goddess of the river Khabar, or Haber, in ancient Syria. It has been proposed that this name refers to an underworld deity derived from Syrian Milku. However, it is not impossible that this god was a Mesopotamian deity in origin and simply belongs to a sparsely attested local pantheon. Krebernik assumes that the term may be plural and refers to deceased ancestors. Let's see. I don't know. He points out that it appears in such a context in funerary rites from the old Babylonian Mari, city of Mari. References to plural Malcolm and ma.lik are also from Ugarit. Oh, okay. A related deity, Malik, is also attested in the Weidner god list in a single copy of the Nippur god list and in a later text describing various deities worshipped in Ashur. Well, that is strange and interesting. So that will do it for our video on the god Milku. Very interesting. His major cult centers were Ugarit and Atartu and Hadrayu. So he's also worshipped in Amurru. And he's probably related to it could be related to the later god Milcom, the Ammonite god, and maybe the Phoenician Melkart. And the Mesopotamian god of the high god of Eshnuna, Tishpak, Upper Mesopotamia there. And what was the other deity? Oh, the Ugaritic Gataru. Right. So, could be a god of the underworld. But yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts on this deity below. Any more information on this deity is certainly welcome. And I will be back with more deity videos soon.